Somehow, Titan 6 returned. Hey everybody, just doing a quick video here showing off this Polymega that I got a while back. Basically, it's a console that is emulation based, and you can load actual cartridges and or physical discs onto it. So as you can see here, PlayStation, North American PAL, Japanese, NES, Famicom, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, N64, Genesis, Sega CD, 32X, Saturn, different regions for each one, PC Engine, TurboGrafx. It's really nice. So, like, as an example, here's my NES collection. These are all games that I actually own. A few of these are pre-installed, like Doodle World's a pre-installed game. Flea is as well, but stuff like Golf, Gumshoe, Kirby, stuff like that. These are all actual cartridges that I had that I loaded onto the system. And you can just go right in here and play a game, like so. So, yeah, and then you can just exit right out of it. So, that's pretty darn cool. If you have a converter for the Famicom games, you can even load those on there. These are all of my Famicom games. I don't have a ton of them. Actually, I don't have most of these anymore. I sold most of them. But, they exist. So how does this work? Well, the Polymega system, when you buy it, has all it has is a disk drive. So anything that uses CDs, so Sega CD, as you can see, there's a bunch of Sega CD stuff in here. You just pop in the CD, it installs to the system, and it takes maybe 5-10 minutes, give or take, depending on the game. And then you can just go in and start it. You don't even need to have the disc in the drive, which is really nice. And it plays basically the same. There might be one or two little minor emulation hiccups, because it is emulation, it's not FPGA or anything like that. But honestly, for the most part, it plays pretty much the same as what you would expect it to. You also have save state functionality. So I can be like, oh, didn't want to do that. And then I can just go back into load state. And there you go. You can do display settings and things like that. So it'll do like a 4:3 zoom. You can do square pixels, 16:9, which don't ever do that. It just doesn't look good for retro stuff that's supposed to be in 4:3. But anyway, so anything with a disk drive will work right out of the box when you buy one, if you can even get one. Basically, anything you have disk based for PS1, Saturn, Sega CD, Turbo CD, Neo Geo CD, pop it in. As long as the disc is in good shape, I have a couple ones that are too scratched, they'll work fine. Whereas anything that uses cartridges, they sell modules that you can buy, and you literally pop out the front of the device, pop in a new one, and then you can put in cartridges. So once again, all of these Super Nintendo games here are my actual cartridges. This is not my entire collection, but it's a lot. It's 93. There's probably a few more. I have a little over 100 something games, so but this is most of them. Yes, I do actually own X2 and X3, legitimately. A friend of mine hooked me up with those years ago. I'm very grateful. Or Super Famicom, same thing. Japanese games will show up as long as it's a legitimate game, not a bootleg or a, pirated cart. I've tried to put in some pirated carts. They don't work. Like for the N64, I have a copy of 63 1/3, Clay Fighter 63 1/3 here, but I actually have a bootleg of Sculptor's Cut. Tried to put that in, will not work, which is a shame, but it's good to know that you can kind of not have to worry about, people doing that. Now, same thing with Genesis. 32X games work great. This is my very small 32X library, and I love it. I wish I had more of them, but they are way too expensive, and honestly, not really that worth it, to be perfectly honest. But what's really cool is that with the disc-based stuff is that you can actually do burned games on these. So I have a decent chunk of these, like Dark Savior's legit, Croc's legit, Fighters Megamix, Fighting Vipers, Iron Man XO Manowar, stuff like that. X4 is actually a legit copy. But a lot of these are burned because there's no way in hell I'm ever going to own a copy of, say, Guardian Heroes, or Mega Man 8, or Saturn Bomberman, or Sonic R, or House of the Dead. It just isn't happening. But I do want to play these, and so having them on something like this is pretty good. Although I do not really condone piracy for most things. For legal reasons, I do not officially condone it, but I've definitely done it here. I'm not going to sell any of these, but whatever. So, but you can also do Japanese games. So, and also what's really cool is you can do ROM hacks. So this version of Symphony of the Night here is actually a ROM hack that uses a English translation. So I'll show a quick bit of that to show off the Saturn emulation. You can actually pick a playable character, which is weird. So I'll just go with Richter because why not? As you can see, the game's in English, which is not normal. Yeah, this is a game that is normally Japanese because Symphony of the Night never came out in English on the Saturn in the US. At least I'm pretty sure it didn't. Regardless, this is a ROM hacked version that actually is in English, which is really nice. So, you get the idea with that. Some of the TurboGrafx CD stuff, PC Engine. The only one of these that's actually legit, it's like an actual cartridge, is this copy of Gradius. The other ones are actually built in. If you buy certain modules, you'll actually get some free games, which is really cool. PC Engine CD, Strider, stuff like that. So, it's pretty darn fun. And also, you can even do things like, say... Where is it? There it is. Sonic & Knuckles. you can even do the lock-on carts. So, for instance, if you wanted to do Knuckles and Sonic 2, you could actually put in the Knuckles and Sonic 2 cartridges locked on into the module. It'll recognize it as its own ROM. So, you get the idea. And one thing that's really cool is I have a couple games on these systems like Terminator 2 or the Menacer cartridge or Lethal Enforcers. Or for the Super Nintendo, I have where is it? Battle Clash in here? I definitely... Okay, maybe I just didn't put it in here yet. Is Metal Combat in here? Yes, Metal Combat's in here. Battle Clash does not appear to be. I need to put that one in here. But Battle Clash, Metal Combat, games like Yoshi's Safari, this one here, they use the Super Scope. And what's really cool is you can actually use an upcoming peripheral to use the light gun with them. I don't have it because it isn't something that's like able to be released yet, but I have it on pre-order and I will get it eventually. So that'll be really cool, and you can use them with LCD TVs, which is really, really nice. And it means that, you know, a lot of these games, which Super Scope games in particular, are really hard to set up because you need an old TV, you need space, you need a giant, you know, bunch of batteries, and, you know, the Super Scope's a huge thing. To do something with a Sinden Tech light gun is pretty damn cool. So, once again, here's some PlayStation games. So, most of these I don't have because I actually a lot of these I do, but some of these are burned, but most of these are not. Everything here, these are all legit, like from my actual collection. But I like playing a lot of this stuff, so it's really cool because I've been collecting for like, you know, close to 15 years straight at this point. And I have a ton of systems. The majority of these ones I've got a good amount of games for. It's just that it's hard to hook a lot of this stuff up to modern TVs. It's hard to deal with a lot of this stuff because, you know, just space and power and, you know, aging tech. You know, Saturns and PlayStations are kind of dying because the optical drive is not really working the same way that it would previously. But the thing with something like this is that all of your stuff is on hand, you know that your physical collection is backed up, and you can also play stuff that you wouldn't get a chance to normally that would normally have to mod a console for. You know, which is really nice. Same thing with, you know, pretty much everything else here. I can actually play something like Saturn Bomberman or House of the Dead or something like that without having to burn a copy for... well, I still have to burn a copy, but like without having to, you know, mod a Saturn, or even soft modding is a pain on that thing. So it's really nice. And to have a lot of these consoles, like everything on hand, is really nice. The biggest downside I see with the Polymega is that the company has had a bit of a hard time getting this stuff into the hands of consumers, and the price has gone up like crazy. So right now, it's pretty damn expensive if you want to get one, and that's if you can even get one. I don't think they're available yet. I think they're doing another production run at some point. I had this thing pre-ordered for like 2 years, nearly. Year and a half, 2 years before I got the thing. And I also got a bit of a discount because I bought it fairly early on. They jacked up the price after a while, which is a damn shame because it's really nice. You know, but they've had a lot of people getting pissed at them because it's just a lot of... Did I not put Mario's Time Machine in here? Oh, it is in there. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. But a lot of people are mad because they either couldn't get one or they missed out on it initially, and I get that completely. These should be readily available, and they just aren't. But that said, I think it's worth the wait if you can get one. Is it worth the price? Depends entirely on how much you have for your collection. If you have a lot of physical discs, and you have a lot of stuff that you know you're going to play, then I think it's worth it. However, if you don't, then maybe it isn't. You know? I think they're doing some really cool stuff with, like, they're going to come out with an app eventually. They're going to have a cloud service thing. They're going to actually be selling games on, you know, some sort of service, you know, that you can just download right to your device, and that's really cool. I believe Atari has invested money into them, so hopefully that will get a few of their production problems resolved. But honestly, for me, being able to play something like Super Mario All-Stars, this cartridge I have literally had since I was an infant, is just so cool. It's not just a ROM file. I mean, it is just a ROM file, but it's my ROM file from my actual system. That is so cool. The controller it comes with is kind of like a... I would best describe it as like a PlayStation 4 controller, like a knockoff one. Although the quality of it is not terrible. I have the first revision. They've since put out a different one. But this one works pretty well for what I have found. What's really cool is that each module, if you buy like the Genesis, NES, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx, N64 modules, they come with their own controllers that are more traditional, with like a Polymega, like home button kind of thing. And honestly, they work really well. They are about on par with pretty much your standard sort of third-party-ish controller, but unlike a lot of third-party controllers, they actually feel pretty good. And you can also, with each of the modules, they have controller ports in the front that you can use with traditional controllers. If you want to use a regular Super Nintendo controller to play this, you can totally do that. And I believe you can mix and match. Like, you can use other USB controllers. Like, I have an 8BitDo SN30 Pro 2 that I use with this, and it works quite well. So you can kind of mix and match controllers, and also I believe you can use, like, you could probably use the Genesis controller to do NES games, you know? So if you like a particular aesthetic with your game controllers, you can most definitely do that. You can mix it around a little bit. There's a couple things that would kind of take this over the top for me. And I love it just because it's really great to play my collection, or play some of the stuff I wish I had in my physical collection a little bit easier. There's a few things that would be interesting, is that if they're already doing the emulation stuff and buying games, you know, eventually going to do it as a service, I would love to see some sort of way to do online multiplayer. This thing already connects to Wi-Fi. I'm sure they could find some sort of way to do it, somehow. That would be really cool. As an aside, I don't think I've ever actually gone... I don't think I've actually gone past the warp zone in this level forever. I legitimately don't know. I've completed Super Mario Brothers on the NES without any warp zones a few times. But this, All-Stars, I always do the warp zone. I guess it's just muscle memory as a kid. Now, since this is being emulated, and I'm also playing it through OBS to capture some footage, this is all pretty much off the cuff, unedited. Which, you know, you can kind of tell. Like, I'm not exactly a pro gamer here, you know? And while I did edit videos professionally for years, I've never really done it, like, for YouTube or anything. I always did it in a news setting. So, you know, I will consistently lose my train of thought like I just did just now. But, one of the things is with input delay. Is there any? Well, yes, there is. Now keep in mind, I'm doing this via... Damn it. I'm doing this via OBS through a capture device. You get the idea. Titan 6 is bad at video games. Film at 11. So yeah, you get the gist of it. Hopefully you do. Anyway, if any of you would like to see something in particular on the Polymega, let me know. And in addition to that, well, I've been live streaming this quite a bit. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's easy to just put everything on there instead of hooking up a regular console. I've been streaming a few things. I've been doing my analog pocket as well for most of my handheld stuff, which this does not support at the moment. But I've mostly been doing this as just a way to just sort of get into doing streaming and capturing footage. And hopefully it leads somewhere. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be super mad about it. But anyway, this is a bit of a rambling video. No real script, nothing. But I hope you were somewhat entertained. I hope you were slightly informed. And if you aren't, please let me know. I am happy to take criticism. And there's probably going to be a lot of it, because I know I'm not perfect. I know it's not ideal. Especially since I'm not editing this particular clip of footage. So, yeah, that's about it. Anyway, if you want to see anything else on the Polymega, let me know. I am happy to show off some stuff. And if you ever want to watch me actually play some games live over the internets, I stream on Twitch quite a bit too. My name on there is Titan_6. I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Ugh. Good Lord, that hurts to say. Either way, thanks everybody. Have a good day.